This is Mr. Brown's Basement, a channel devoted to repairing, restoring, and modifying vintage electronic gear, and other random stuff. Welcome to Mr. Brown's Basement. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for returning. If you're new, welcome for the first of hopefully many times. This is my first video in a long time, and it's going to be a little different. But that's okay, because I do random other stuff, and this is random other stuff. So let's get started. Recently, when I was on Facebook, the topic of resistor color codes came up. This is a resistor. It's a device that has 3 or more color bands on it which encode its electrical resistance. This came up in a Facebook group about vintage radio restoration, so it's not an unusual place for me to hang out. Somebody decided to bring up the mnemonic, or memory aid, that they were given to help them learn the resistor color code. Everybody seemed to know it. It's the same one that was given to me by my electricity teacher in high school about 50 years ago. It went like this. But wait, there's a word I can't say here because YouTube will probably demonetize this video, so I'll put it in a subtitle below. Here goes. Bad boys our young girls, but Violet goes willingly for the colors black, brown, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, gray, and white. For most people in the discussion on Facebook, this was a big joke. I don't think it is, so I called it out for how I see it: ignorant, misogynist, and offensive. I think to joke about shows a willful disinterest in the well-being of other people. It shows a particular contempt for women who are the most frequent victims of. And by joking, they make it like it's no big deal, when if it happened to them, it would be a big deal. And since the mnemonic specifically says our young girls, it actually suggests the P word. Another word I can't say on YouTube. The response I received on Facebook surprised the hell out of me. A very few group members agreed with me, but the rest either gave me a derisive laugh, made inferences about my politics, or just resorted to calling me various nasty names. Let me get this out of the way now. I don't give a rat's behind if people don't agree with me. But I'm surprised that people would go to such lengths to defend the casual use of the word and joke about it. Now let's go back to why I called it ignorant, misogynist, and offensive. Misogyny is the hatred or contempt of women or girls. And the word is a hateful act, is sexual assault, or the crime of forcibly having sex with somebody. And more often than not, it's a crime against women and girls. Now, knowing that, why would they think that the word is a joking matter? The way I see it, it's the textbook definition of misogyny. But even if it wasn't about women and girls, I don't see how sexual assault of males is worthy of joking about either. Looking back to the 1970s, when I was a teenager in a class of all boys, I snickered with everybody else when my teacher dropped these words of wisdom. But I'm a lot older and a little wiser now, and I see it for what it is. And you know, it's not like you absolutely need to refer to and to remember the color code, then or now. Getting back to the responses that I received on Facebook, it seems like a lot of guys just don't get it. Some told me that they thought that in this context, what's funny, and if I didn't think so, I was woke, meaning that I'm alert to social injustice and discrimination, as if that's bad. I took that as a compliment. That's about the nicest thing anybody could say. But don't worry, guys. If you were the victim of crime or injustice, I would come to your defense as well. Some told me they knew how I was going to vote in the next American election. Let me promise for all the viewers on this channel that I am not going to vote for anyone in the next American election. If I had to vote for anyone, I would of course vote for myself, because I know how to be a benevolent dictator, not just for a day, but for a lifetime. Mr. Brown for President 2024. Make America sane again. Some posited that somebody cannot be offensive, that instead somebody can choose to be offended by somebody else's words. That's a convenient way to let yourself off the hook, to say whatever you want without any responsibility for your own words and their effect on other people. Not considering the consequence to others of free speech might not go so well if you decide to test your First Amendment rights by falsely yelling "fire" in a crowded movie theater. Spoiler alert, don't try it. And finally, there were some in the group who just hurled invectives at me with short rhyming words. I suppose it was the best they could muster. After all, it's a lot easier to cuss and name call than it is to make a cogent argument or defend an indefensible position. I suppose it's cathartic in a small-minded, monosyllabic way, when that's the best you can do. It's also laughable behavior from people who are ostensibly adults. Still, I don't have any harsh words for these people. They were simply expressing their own opinions. What troubles me, though, is the actions or inactions of the group moderator. In the interest of fairness, I'm not going to name the group or the moderator. It looks like he took the easy way out by deleting the entire thread, as if that makes the issue go away. It doesn't. I think it's a mistake, because conversations like what's right, what's wrong, what's fair, what's unfair, are more important than issues about the restoration of radios. I guess that's why I made this video. Really, guys, suppressing the discussion is cowardly. This is a debate that needs to take place. It's little wonder why getting women to work in the trades and in domains traditionally occupied by men, like electronics and repair, is so difficult. After all, why would a woman be interested in interacting with men who literally think it's funny if she gets assaulted, and then defend their laughter? If you do a Google search, there are plenty of pages that mention this mnemonic, so I guess it must have been widely used in the past. I don't know whether it's still used now. I hope not. However, if you look, you can find even more disgusting variations. It doesn't take rocket science to infer how this affects the attitudes of young men and young women, especially when it comes from a person of authority like a teacher or mentor. If you don't believe that it affects attitudes, you may wish to watch a documentary made by a young woman who aspired to be an electrical engineer, but who changed her career path to avoid sexism. Or perhaps these sobering statistics from a keynote available from Fairleigh University's website. It reports how few women enter and stay in the field of engineering. Back to the color code. There is a mnemonic I prefer. By being revolutionary, our young girls become very great women. I like the sound of that, and no, I can't take credit for it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I try to read and respond to all comments. If you decide to contribute to this discussion, please keep it civil. We may have to agree to disagree, but since I'm running for president on a platform of being a benevolent dictator, I will delete abusive and misogynist comments without notice. I get pre-presidential immunity for that. I hope you enjoyed watching this video from Mr. Brown's basement. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos. This video is a little different, but I think it needed to be said. I hope you agree. Hope to catch you in the next video.